Welcome to Stream, a truck tractor trailer.com production. I'm Allan Anastacio, and I am joined back in the studio with Kevin Robinson. Kevin, how are you today?
Doing well, Allan. How are you today?
Cool. I'm doing super well today. It's exciting. It's a Wednesday. Excited to be here at TTT. Excited to be in this industry at this time right now. So it's just some exciting times. And we got the chance. They invited us back, and we got a chance to talk again. So that's great news always. So,
Sure.
Kevin, today, I think we have a couple different topics on the agenda today, and I'm really excited to dive deep into these topics with you today. I know you bring a wealth of experience to the TTT, our team from the industry, and we're going to be talking about building customer loyalty in this competitive market. We're going to talk about some of the challenges in sales that we have right now because of all the intense competition. We are a very economy driven market and industry, so definitely with pricing and the economy, we definitely have to keep that in mind whenever we are discussing strategies. We're going to talk about building relationships, not just building relationships to close a sale, but more importantly how to build those long-term relationships, and more importantly is we'll go back to it, the customer loyalty. Why do people continue to work with you, Kevin? Why do they continue to work with your TTT team? We'll go dive into that. But let's talk a little bit about customer loyalty and building it here in this competitive market. And Kevin, you're definitely privy to a lot of what's going on in the industry, and you definitely have a lot of background into a lot of the different spaces within the industry too. So maybe give your take on right now in terms of what it takes to really be, to provide that customer loyalty, to get that customer loyalty in this market right now.
Sure, Allan. I think it really boils down to, as you said, building relationships, having transparency. I think transparency in your relationships is a big plus in this market. As we face the challenges of, everybody looks at the market and they see similar products, similar competition, and they think everybody's the same. And so you have to differentiate yourself in the marketplace with your advantages of what you offer versus what your competition is offering. And at first glance, it may seem like everybody's the same, but as you get into that relationship and you build that relationship, you find the advantages of what people bring to the table. And that's what you have to bring in this competitive marketplace, because all the trucks look the same in the photos. They have the same specs, price driven. The price is very competitive. Everybody's looking for the best price on the similar product, but you've got to break that down into, does the best price necessarily mean the best value? In the trucking, in our industry of what we do, just because you get the lowest price doesn't mean you're getting the best value for your money. And that's the challenge, is to show your clientele what those advantages are and why you're the best value.
Awesome, Kevin. That's some great stuff. And let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because I definitely like some of the things that you said. And it's very true in our market, right? We have a lot of Freightliners out in the market, right? There's a lot of Volvos, 760s, 860s, all the same specs. And then you said it right there. There's a lot of the same product that's out there, but how does that salesperson or that person selling that truck differentiate themselves right from this market? And maybe we'll get a little granular in terms of maybe some of your strategies, Kevin, because you can be in Georgia, right? You have a Freightliner that you're marketing and you're selling to your buyers. But they're also might be looking at other Freightliners. They might be also talking to another salesperson in the market. Is there anything that you do, Kevin, that you try to differentiate yourself from an Allan or another salesperson in the industry?
Well, if I go back to my dealership days, Allan, I still take the same approach, which is, I like to do my discovery when I'm first dealing with a customer for the first time, and get to know them, find out what their needs are, find out what they're looking for, what are their pressure points, what are their must-haves, what are their bonus halves, that type thing, so that I can find them the right product for them, whether it's based on reliability, price, certain type of engine, certain type of transmission. Is that going to work for what they're going to be putting the truck to work for? And then their financing and their budget. You got to put something in that place as well. So that's kind of the first goal is to do some discovery and not be afraid to move them from something they came in to look at or an idea they had to what really is going to better serve their needs for what they're trying to accomplish. Everybody comes into a dealership wanting to get the biggest, the shiniest, the most chrome, the truck that when they pull up into the truck stop, everybody's going to say, ooh, and ah, when they look at it, but that may not necessarily fit all of their other needs. And so that's the first part, doing the discovery. And then once you find the discovery, you confirm what those needs are. And you make sure that you understand with them exactly what they're looking for and make sure you haven't misinterpreted something in the conversation or in the discovery part. And then after that, you want to address that need with the product you have that best fits it, show it to them, and let them make decision on that product based on their needs. So,
go ahead, Kevin.
No, and I was going to say after that, you always want to ask for the sale. After you've gotten that you've addressed their needs and it fits, you want to make sure you ask for the sale. Once they say yes, confirm that they've made a good decision and shut your mouth.
There it is, right? ABC is a closing. And that's a really great and valid point, Kevin, that you brought up. And it's really about that value selling, especially in this economy right now. We're looking at pricing that really can be high, one quarter, next quarter they can be low, right? And it's all about that supply and demand. And I think the past couple of years, we've seen a very wavy, rocky economy, and as well as that's affecting a lot of the prices of what we have. So to your point, I think it's really valuable to be able to provide more solutions and more of a consultative sale to what that buyer needs are, right? What is their exact needs? What are their uses for their operations? Because, buyer can have expectations of, as you mentioned, I want the shiny new truck. I want dual stacks. I want this. But, their budget might be, well, I got to get it myself into a Cascadia, right? A regular fleet spec unit. So you are right. It is very, very important to be able to drive that value of that unit. So that way we're also being transparent as well as providing them the right equipment for their needs as well. So really good points, onto those. And I guess let's kind of shift a little bit. We've been talking a lot about, our owner operators and how we're dealing with that owner operator and user. But here at TTT, we also deal a lot with small fleets and larger fleets. And Kevin, I know you've done a lot of work with both on those. And I know your sales strategy is different on each one, talking to a small fleet versus talking to a large fleet. But let's start with talking to small fleets. What is your particular sales strategy? Or maybe also give us some insights on, small fleets and kind of what you think, how their operations run and how they think, and then how you provide those solutions for them. Let's dive a little bit more into that, into those small fleets.
With the small carriers, typically you're going to have a buyer that's looking more personal for their drivers. They have a certain specs they want for their drivers. Maybe they're trying to make them go with a more comfortable truck. Maybe they're looking for some upgrades based on what they're doing. And so you have to be able to find them some equipment that is a little different than the standard, large fleet truck. And the large fleets, are going to be looking more for something that fits a set standard for their overall budget. They're looking at fuel economy. They're looking at similar spec for each driver, so there's continuity in their group, and same engine, same transmission, that type thing. And then when you get with the smaller fleets, they're typically on a shorter turnaround. They're going to make a quick decision. They're looking at making a purchase fairly quickly, within a week or less in most cases. And with a larger fleet, that process is going to stretch out a little bit. There's more decision makers involved. There's going to be a hierarchy of, hey, we need to get this approved. We need to get these specs approved, and they're going to take their time on putting that together. So you're looking at a little bit longer sales cycle and a little bit more touch points. With the smaller fleet, you're typically dealing with the owner of the small fleet, and they're going to make the decision, and that's going to be your one point of contact. And they may be looking at different set up trucks for each individual driver. So instead of selling 3 of the same or 5 of the same, you may be selling 5 completely different trucks to that small fleet owner. So you have to be flexible on what you can offer.
That's a really valid point, and that's a really good point to note there. And I think there's several indicators or levels, right, that a small carrier, I would say, has to go through transition, while they're trying to get themselves to, become a larger capacity fleet. And you're 100% right. In terms of small carriers, they have a lot more specifics. You mentioned the drivers, finding equipment that might fit each individual driver. One of the hurdles of small fleets, and this is a hurdle in the industry, is recruiting and finding, drivers. As a small fleet, I think the owners, they have such a really hard time in terms of growing their business, right? They're trying to make sure their business grows. They're trying to make sure that they're taking care of mechanical operational problems. Recruiting is probably one of the hardest things for them to do. So they have to be able to take in many different types of drivers, right? And, being able to work with that fleet, you have to be able to work with more specifics, right? More really catered solutions to match that company growth, because you never know where they are right at that point. And you're right, with larger fleets, it's a cycle for them, right? They have everything down. They have a lot more bandwidth. They have a lot more places in terms of the operations, to be able to provide that really kind of workflow, or that, operational workflow for them to be able to liquidate, buy units and assets, right? They would say larger is always easier, right? And I guess in that sense too, when you do have a larger fleet, it's a lot more functional, wheel and process. So totally different approach. And I think you're totally right. I think you were spot on, where, we definitely have to cater a little bit more and do a little bit more hand holding with those small carriers to ensure that they're really maximizing their profits, right? And securing the right equipment for their operational needs at that time. So that's definitely always something that we've talked about. But to get into our last topic, as we kind of just jump in from small fleets and large fleets, Kevin, I know you've had some really good success stories in previously, and I know you're already starting to build your own success stories here at trucktractortrailer.com. To kind of cap it off, let us know a little bit about some of the things that successful things that you've done so far, or that you've been able to apply to here at TTT in your short time here so far.
Sure, Alan. Well, coming from the finance side, I had quite a few relationships with finance companies that I've worked with in the past, and I've been able to bring multiple finance companies over to our platform, which has been a really, really good success story for me. Heather and I spoke about it earlier today. She's having success with 3 of the partners that we've brought on, and she's had sent deals over to all 3, and she's enjoying the feedback that she's getting at this point. So that's been a nice success story for me since I've been here, and that is really really going to grow our platform reach as far as being able to help that individual level the playing field, as we always say, for the smaller fleets and the individual owner operators. And that's what we want to do here: connect them with the best financing and best options available, so they can be successful.
Well, awesome, Kevin. Well, thank you for that. And it's always good to hear these success stories early on. And I know we'll definitely hear a lot more success stories from you as you grow your career here at trucktractortrailer.com. And you're right, there are differences that people that we on board that are part of our TTT team that bring a whole wealth of knowledge and experience that none of our team might not know. We're only as good as what we know, and the more that we can expand tribal knowledge, more trucking knowledge, industry knowledge, and add on experts and experienced professionals like yourself, that's how TTT is going to grow itself as a really strong company, because we're growing from within. And that's definitely something that I'm excited about here at trucktractortrailer.com. I'm excited about the growth that we're experiencing, both on the personnel side and as well as on our revenue side. I think there's a lot more good things to come early on this year and into 2025. So thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you once again for being able to join us here again in the studio. I encourage all our listeners here on stream to reach out to Kevin Robinson, reach out to myself, Alan. We can reconnect with us on LinkedIn. Always subscribe to our stream channel on YouTube and Spotify, and as well as go ahead and register yourself on trucktractortrailer.com/join. So thank you again, Kevin, for jumping in the studio with us. From all our TTT family, we'll catch you next time.